all of this sounds very tough. How deliverable would it be?
Very hard to deliver, considering the fact that the Rwanda plan has delivered 0 deportations, and in the Home Office leaked document on Sunday, the Home Office admit that it will not get a flight out before March 2024, and that's despite their recent win in the courts. So it's not really workable. We're looking at mass detentions. Where are we going to detain these people, and what level? Are you talking about detaining 50,000 people? And the key to this is you can't just send people back to countries. Countries have got to be willing to accept them. We've only got return agreements with 6 to 7 countries. That's because at the time when Brexit happened, we should have negotiated maybe return agreements with 200 countries. But in all of our wisdom, we failed to do that. So the 6 or 7 countries are not going to agree to take...
What countries are you talking about? The countries of origin?
Albania is one of them. I think Serbia is another country.
Where the people are originating from?
With any countries across the world, in total.
Are coming from Albania at the moment, aren't they? So that works well to have one of those as the countries that's returning people.
But the others that are coming, say from Iraq and Syria, or from say India or Pakistan, we don't really have agreements with countries to send people to wherever they come from.
Why would countries want to accept refugees?
Well, they have to accept their people if they've been refused asylum. They should accept, but they can just deny it. You need an agreement in place. Our nearest neighbours, France, Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, have all said no. But they said 2 years ago, sorry, we're not signing any return agreements with you. We're not going to have your failed asylum seekers. You can't dump them here.
But you see, it's often forgotten that these countries have probably bigger migrant problems than we have.
Yeah, they take on the majority, so they take on in millions. So Germany take on something about 2.2 million.
Yeah.
And actually the biggest countries who take on refugees are Colombia and Pakistan.
Really?
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that because you don't hear them go on about it, but they do. They take on a lot more than even Germany.
Well, Harjap, we're expecting it to be a really big set piece from the Prime Minister and from Suella Braverman. We're expected to see a lot of upset from, I suppose, the left, you could say, a lot of human rights lawyers like yourself as well. And we're going to hear lots of technicalities. And I've been reading this morning, and bear with me at home if you're watching, about a section 19.1b. Now, all of us this morning were saying, what is this? I've no idea what a section 19.1b, but this is what Rishi Sunak is going to be relying on. And as is described in Suella Braverman's own words, is pushing the boundaries of international law. So what does it mean as a human rights lawyer?
Well, in layman's, let's explain it in layman's terms. What we're going to say is, if you land here on a small boat, we're not even going to process your claim. We're going to send you back to Rwanda or send you back to another country. Now, the problem is Rwanda only has 200 places. Initially, there were 500, if you remember, and then they turned around and said, no, sorry, we've only got 200 places.
So we're talking about tens of thousands of people coming in, 200 places.
In Rwanda, which we've spent 140 million on and which we've sent back no one. Right, so that's the first thing. Secondly, there are no other countries. There's about 6 other countries with who we've got agreements to send people. You can't send asylum seekers back to their country of origin because that's illegal, because then, you literally might be sending them to their death. Yeah, right. So what is going to happen here? You can't say in breach of a convention that we can't consider your claim. In the Rwanda case, the High Court was very specific. That's the High Court of this country, not of Europe. They said that you have to consider everyone's claim individually before you make a decision whether you can send them to Rwanda. Now, what we're saying, or what Suella Braverman and Rishi Sunak are going to say, we're going to use an inadmissibility law, which has already been in since 2021, to say, no, sorry, you can't enter the country, you have to go elsewhere. That since 2021, since it's been brought in, we've only sent back 21 people under it. That tells you how successful it's been in 2 years.
So you would say, despite what any politician, despite what the Prime Minister, what the Home Secretary is going to say today, you would simply say, it's all huff, it's all bluff, it ain't going to happen.
Being sold a dream, as always, and the fact is you're being sold a dream, it's not going to happen. We know it's not going to work because we don't have the infrastructure for it. There's already a backlog and there's already cases that can't be cleared. You saw the way they're going to deal with the backlog. They're going to give them a form to fill out themselves and say, have you been in danger? Yes. Are you in trouble? Yes. Do you want to go back? No. There you go. Thank you. That's how the idea to clear the backlog. And it is just not workable. Waste of time. Waste of money. Even the immigration staff are saying it's not workable. And when your staff who are supposed to make this law work say that, then you need to listen to them.
Well, look, I want to bring in Leon Emirali, political analyst, to join this debate. Good morning to you, Leon. Look, the Prime Minister's written in the Sun newspaper this morning, and he's taken aim quite squarely at the Labour Party, saying they don't have a plan, we're trying to do something about this. He has a point, doesn't he?
Well, he does, and I think Rishi Sunak is trying to position himself as this problem solver. He's seen it with Brexit, where he's renegotiated that deal, and now he's taking on the issue of small boats and illegal migration. And this really could be a flashpoint in the next election. I think if he can get this right, then he's potentially going to boost his chances of winning re-election. If he gets it wrong, no chance at all.
Right, so he's got a reputation now, hasn't he, for under-promising and over-delivering. But I've seen Conservative MPs warning that this isn't workable and that he's in danger of over-promising and under-delivering. Now, when it comes down to the legal elements, actually he may not be successful, but in political terms, that's a totally different kettle of fish. If he's able to chime with the electorate, it could work.
It could work on that premise alone, Isabel, but I think the proof will be in the pudding. And, you know, you can say as much as you want and give tough words and talk tough, but when it comes to action, I think he will be judged on that. And it's a very tangible number that we look at. We had 45,000 crossings in the previous year. If that number is the same or higher over the next 12 months, then it doesn't spell that that's been workable for the Prime Minister. But he's got the headlines, he's talking tough, and he's trying to position himself in that way. But the legal complexities, I think, are a big barrier.
And do you think he's going to be able to do it based on what you've seen?
I think that Rishi Sunak has got a different approach to this than other Prime Ministers. And, you know, he is looking at it in a methodical way. He said he's going to push the law to its very limits. And that often can be a way of finding, a new breakthrough, which is obviously needed in this particular case. So he could well pull something out of the bag, but it won't be an easy task.
Okay.
But you think this is all being used to square up for the local elections and the oncoming general election as well. Suella Braverman saying we owe it to the British people to deliver. Labour and others who oppose these measures are betraying hard-working Brits. They don't have any answers themselves.
They've seen a clear difference between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party on this issue, Eamon, and I think that this is a real passion point for a lot of voters, whether it's in the local elections or in the general election, as you say. And the small boats issue has been rumbling on and on and on for a number of years. And they're looking for a politician of any stripe to effectively get a grip on this. And the fact that the Labour Party are opposing the idea of hard rhetoric and hard talk on illegal migration, I think creates that chasm between the two of them, and it is a difference between the two parties.
OK, gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed. We're going to be discussing this throughout the programme and obviously looking at what you have to say on all of this. Keep your views coming in. You can tweet us at GBNews and you can get in touch, and it's something which I can never remember.
At GBNews. But you know what, I'm just thinking, whilst we've got Leon, I actually want to pick your brains on one other story, and this is on the front of the Telegraph about Matt Hancock.
Yes.
This is terrible reading. The fact that he was suggesting an MP should have funds blocked for a disability centre in order to force him to toe the line on a COVID restriction. Oh, my goodness.
Well, yes, and, look, I don't find this terribly surprising because those of us who've worked in Westminster recognise this stuff goes on a lot, and politics is messy, it's not a pretty business. But the fact that it's all coming out now in the public, it just leaves a really sour taste in the mouth, and I think that this is just obviously the latest in a string of very embarrassing revelations for Matt Hancock, and it doesn't look good that you're dangling people's livelihoods in front of them for political gain.
Leon, what level of intelligence has Mr. Hancock got? I'm really interested because, he gets these. He's very clever.
Yeah.
Well, he obviously isn't very clever. I think to hand over 32,000 WhatsApp messages.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if anyone's entire log of WhatsApp messages were laid out in the public, it wouldn't be a good look for anyone. Yeah. So I do feel a degree of sympathy for him, albeit, you're quite right, Eamon, the judgment of handing over that backlog to a journalist who was fundamentally opposed to his views on lockdown and a number of other things maybe wasn't terribly wise. But look, Matt Hancock is a very astute politician. He got to, the pinnacle of the cabinet during a very difficult time for the country, but I think his reputation has taken a battering because of this, and also because of his repositioning into the world of showbiz, if you want to call it that. And I think that he is going to have to struggle to find a place for himself in British discourse over the coming next period.
Leon, thank you very much indeed.